Hey guys, welcome. Welcome, 1,000 welcomes to Superhero News Network. This week, we're focusing it all on the King of the Seven Seas, Aquaman.
AKA Black Panther with fish.
It is Black Panther with fish, and I actually think that the better fitting royal person in that movie is Mira. However, we're here to talk about, I was going to say Black Panther, but Aquaman.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, this is Johnny. I'm Joe. I'm back in the fold talking about a giant Hawaiian guy.
It's not The Rock, surprisingly.
With the pitchfork. He actually should have played Lobo. Missed opportunity, DC. But hey, he should have.
That is, you just like you don't even have to pay him like give some red eyes and shit like that. Everyone's just done. Yeah.
Lobo. But we're gonna talk about Aquaman. Not only that, but Johnny also has comic picks that revolve around Aquaman. We're gonna be talking about spoilers from the movie, reactions to the movie, and theories about what you can see in Aquaman Part 2. Guess
There's
what,
a
though?
part 2?
Well, they're already working on it.
Oh, why?
So let me ask you this, Johnny. Entourage, a long time ago, predicted the winner of the box office between Aquaman and Spider-Man. You know who won the box office? And even with rolling blackouts in Burbank? Aquaman. Edged it out. Do you think that history is well, I guess not repeat itself, but do you think that show predicted the future? And do you think Aquaman will take down Spider-Verse in the box office this weekend?
You know what, though? That's a great question, because here's the thing. Everyone's really hyped to go see Aquaman, and then I was in the theater, because here's the thing. When I was in the theater watching, because you don't see movies in the general public anymore.
No, that's below me.
Yeah, it's terrible. I'm sorry for you. But last week, the empty theater, when I saw Spider-Verse, the theater was more empty versus this week, where it's kind of packed. But you know what's crazy, though? Spider-Verse has a little talk, though. Like, everyone's, like, really hyping on Spider-Verse. It's getting that word-of-mouth traction, which I think is going to carry for the long run. But, like, right now, Aquaman's going to get that immediate dollar.
Immediate dollar cash grab for Warner Brothers and DC. It's almost like the Ocean Master got it himself. Let's talk.
kind of look like Thor right there, low key.
Ocean. Here's another weird. We're gonna go deep into the movie, which I want to do.
Thor. Look at that.
But look, even if you guys haven't seen Aquaman, this is gonna be a general discussion. It is gonna go into spoilers. So if you are planning on seeing the movie, you might want to tune out. However, listen. As much as we're going to talk about Aquaman, it's not going to be like, hey, this is your Aquaman show. We're going to do that. Hey, it's going to be fun because we like having fun. So if you want to leave now, fuck yourselves. But if you want to stay, that's what we're here
Welcome.
for.
Hey,
I
I
like
would
the
have
fact
you.
that people.
Good job.
It's like, how come none of us can say? Chester's like, how come I can't say this such as? Because your Twitter will blow up, and then I have to put out your fires. That's why, Jezzer. That's why. But we're going to talk about Aquaman, and I want to talk about the casting of Jason Momoa. We got to start right at the beginning. The casting of Jason Momoa was given to us. Well, actually, if we're going to start at the beginning, let's start at the very beginning. Jeff Johns. Jeff Johns took it as a challenge to himself to reinvent Aquaman because Aquaman was a joke to many. And
Was he, though?
Well, I mean, I think general mass perception. By the way, I interviewed Jeff Johns, and this is what he said.
Okay.
So, as we know, that in the New 52, he wrote the first few stories of Aquaman, and I guess there's a scene in the New 52 where Jeff Johns or Aquaman's eating fish and chips. Editorial told Jeff Johns, no, you can't have that in there. Take it out, and because people are going to hate the character. And he's going to be like, people are going to hate the character. Nobody even cares about the character.
Yeah.
He's kind of right, though. Nobody did.
No, here's the thing. I agree, because like the thing about this though is that the reason why I was kind of surprised when I was like, did Jeff Johns save this character? He saved a version of the character. The thing about this though is that Jeff Johns wrote the green pants having, orange chest like wearing like Aquaman, thing like that, which is a hard Aquaman to write. But me and Joe both know that during the 90s or whatnot, there was a badass Aquaman rolling around with one hand and a pitchfork who was talking gangs of shit and whooping ass under the sea, and he was a bad A Aquaman.
That was a badass Aquaman.
It was. Again, that was my favorite Aquaman from the Justice League, and he held down in book sales too. But you're right though, Jeff Johns.
Hey, he was also in the Superman the Animated Series like that too, right?
Oh yeah, he was too. Yeah, and the Justice League like that for a while too. Yeah, but and he lost a hand on the show too. Yeah, and so the thing about it is also right. Jeff Johns did take upon a challenge upon himself, and that's what Jeff Johns does. Jeff Johns is an OG comic book fan. Like his favorite Flash, Barry Allen. His favorite Green Lantern, Hal Jordan. Which is the reason why when they brought these characters back, who was like running the ship for that? Usually Jeff Johns helping somebody out or doing it himself. And so the thing about it is when we get Jason Momoa like cast in here, they start playing this out and everything like that. They use Jeff Johns like entire story run as the template for this movie.
And if you ever want to meet Jeff Johns, he goes to mostly the major conventions like Emerald City, WonderCon, Comic-Con. But if you ever want to meet Jeff Johns, do it in style with one of our T-shirts from TeePublic. Convention season's coming up right around the corner, starting in January. Get one of your hashtag show T-shirts, wear it in pride, and get something that's new, and also makes a great gift during the holidays. Great stocking stuffers, folks.
There it is.
That's what you call a plug, guys. That's what you call a plug. But wear those shirts with pride because, listen, if you're a Power Ranger fan or even a Pokemon fan, there's not a lot of options out there for you, but we got it.
Exactly.
We got it right there for you.
And Joe's right. Con season is approaching. Con season ended. It's coming up. We got Anime LA coming up. We got WonderCon soon coming up. After that, Colossal Con, Comic Con. All these conventions are about to come up soon. And guess what? When you go out there, you want to represent your geeky pride. Someone will say, hey, I like Power Rangers too.
Hey, happy birthday, Thomas Franco.
Oh, happy birthday, Thomas Franco. Boom, the T. Happy birthday.
So I also want to talk about the Super Chat, because you know that helps support the show.
Oh.
And that helps give back. Give back to the people. What movie is that from?
People. To the people. What is that from?
From you. The people.
That sounds real. What is that from?
The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight.
Oh, yeah, okay. The people.
Yeah.
My least favorite. We'll talk about that
It's
later.
my least favorite too. But in a whole, it's a pretty good trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
But back to Aquaman. Now, we already have went over... Go ahead.
No, we were talking about Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. When Jason Momoa first got cast, what were your initial thoughts?
So, I thought that Jason Momoa was a good fit for Aquaman. Maybe not what I would have chosen, mainly because I was so used to the classic look. But once I saw him in those Justice League posters, I was like, yo, that's Aquaman.
Nah,
that's good.
I agree with you. So for me, when he got cast...
Unite the Seven posters. Remember that? Or Unite the Seven?
Oh, yeah. For each one, it was like each one, like the Flash, Superman, Batman. So when they were doing that, I was like, ooh, I'm on board for this. Because here's the thing. Moana had just come out. And the thing about Samoan culture was like really huge, and people learn all this like history and whatnot. So it's like, oh wait, so you're gonna do an Aquaman that's tied maybe to Samoan culture, bring this history in, maybe like create this connection there. It's like, oh, you're gonna build this dope ass mythos. I am on board for this. And Jason Momoa's leading the way. You got like this diverse casting here and everything like that. This is awesome. I'm on board for this. The movie kind of let me down.
Yeah, well, I think it's not that his usage, because in Batman v Superman, I thought he was used great. I thought that, he was one of the shining, for the 3 seconds that he's in the movie, he's one of the shining parts of that movie.
And here's the thing, and it's weird though, because in Justice League, he's very charismatic. Again, he steals a few scenes and everything like that. He comes off as badass. He's like this wild warrior type. It's like, almost like, not I want to say anti-hero, kind of, but he's just a badass, which works for him really well. That
brings us to, and that was cast by Zack Snyder, who I thought did a brilliant job with that choice of Aquaman. And then James Wan actually got offered The Flash first, but he said, no, I want to do Aquaman. I'm going to make Aquaman cool. And so that was his next project. Now we flash forward to Justice League, which is kind of in turmoil already. Zack Snyder shot half of it, and they brought in Joss Whedon to finish it. They brought in
the closer. The closer.
But he didn't do much with it. However, Aquaman was one of the shining points of Justice League. Yeah. At least that he had that going for him. So, Johnny, chat me up. What did you think about finally seeing Jason Momoa embrace Aquaman and be Aquaman in Justice League?
So, in Justice League, as I said before, he was awesome. He was funny. He was charismatic. He stole a couple scenes, everything like that. And like a lot of people's favorite scenes, that one with the lasso, he kind of mentions like his vulnerability and everything like that.
That's great.
And again, he was really awesome. And he was a badass. He was rolling with the trident and everything like that. He made Aquaman seem legit enough, and it was a proving ground for him. It was like, ooh, maybe you can carry a movie. So I think about it was like a testing ground that proved to us that he can carry a franchise. What do you think about him?
I also agree with you. I think for me, the standouts were Jason Momoa to me, and I liked Wonder Woman. I thought The Flash was funny. I thought Cyborg was great. I actually liked Ben Affleck as Batman.
Yeah.
I just didn't like that weird mustache thing that Henry Cavill was rocking.
To be honest with you, honestly, the thing about it is that it's weird, because Justice League gets a very bad rap, and we might need to do just a whole show about this sometime.
Yeah, we should actually.
But the thing about it is that, like,
wrap that.
Yeah, because Justice League has these positive.
It's gonna be a therapy session with me on a couch talking to you about how much I hated it.
Tell us again, Joe. Like, what expectations did you go in with?
But every time I watch it, the more and more I like it for different reasons. But I more so find it kind of almost like a car accident where it's so bad I can't turn away.
See, for me, I find myself fanboying out these like little moments.
Sure, I agree.
Because like, for example, like that fight scene and like, the Flash is running towards him and you see Superman's eyes move, you're like, oh shit, they're about to do it.
Great scene.
And it's like, and it goes down, and then there's all that awesome scene towards the end there where like they're like Flash is like, you take the left, I'll take the right. Flash is saving that one truck, and then Superman comes carrying. And Bill's like, oh shit, that's Superman. And then of course it's the big ending scene where you get the race between Flash and Superman. Like, I found myself fanboying out upon these moments. It was like, oh shit, I'm actually seeing this on screen. But you're right though, it is a car crash because there's so many problems with it that those little gems don't save it enough.
But then when you open up with Henry Cavill with that weird mustache thing, that movie just throws me off right there.
Did you see it in like IMAX, like
well, I saw it in a press screening with a good audience.
3D?
So I didn't have to watch it with
the general public and everything?
Oh, I won't do that. That's how people get sick. But I definitely watched it amongst my peers. Just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
I did watch. I thought it was fine, and I mean, I thought that the weird mustache thing really threw me.
Did you see it in 3D?
No, but I also thought that the villain looked like a CG video game character.
But you know what I think it is about the mustache, to be honest with you, though? Like, this is my personal opinion. Like, it's off-putting, but low-key, because the media kept talking about it so much, like, I think if people didn't bring it up, it would just be like this weird thing, but everyone kind of went there looking for it. It's like if you go in there looking for something, you're really focused on it, and then it's going to stand out even more.
Man, it looks so weird.
Yeah.
It looks so weird.
But back to Aquaman, though.
Back to Aquaman, we end up with Justice League. The team is united, and we're anticipating our next movie after Justice League. And guess what that is? It's Aquaman. But before we get into our spoilers about the movie and what we thought and our reactions, Johnny has a pull list for you.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Jesuit, music, please.
Johnny's pull list.
Thank you. All right. So, chat me up. What do you got for the pull list?
So check it out. Seriously, I knew people were going to go see Aquaman this week, and I want to give you some reading recommendations that will kind of help prepare you for what you're going to see on the screen, or something you don't want to read after you see the movie if you want to find out more. So my first thing that I want to recommend to you is Justice League, the first run by Jeff Johns and Jim Lee. And so this is an awesome story where they kind of restart like the New 52 universe.
They tried the Justice League movie to start off.
They did, yeah, they did. If they did, it actually probably would have been better.
Yeah.
And so this is an awesome scene here because like each issue kind of introduces a new character, and then we get to Aquaman, who comes out as a total badass.
Who's the leader here? Nobody? I'm the leader now.
There it is.
And that's what he said. That's what he says.
And he's badass when he does it too. And you see him like command sharks, and the sharks attacked what are the things called from Apocalypse? The little looking demon things. Parademons, yeah, it's like Texas Parademons.
I was gonna say the demon.
I was gonna say demonize or whatever. But yeah, he's a total badass here. It's a great introduction to Aquaman. It's a better rendition of the Justice League that you're gonna see in the movies. My second recommendation is Aquaman: The Trench.
Ooh, I remember The Trench.
Yeah, so it's an awesome storyline, and honestly, this storyline ties in directly like to the movie, and we see a lot of these elements play out. And so it kind of like goes more deeper to like like the New 52 version of Aquaman, him starting off fresh and everything like that, and him and Mira going around adventuring and just like again reestablishes him a hero. A lot of things you'll see in this movie, you're going to see taken from this comic.
Couldn't help but notice you picked 2 New 52 books. Were you a big fan of the New 52? Well, maybe not a big fan, but did you like the concept of it?
Okay, so that's a damning question. So, do I like the overall New 52? No, there was a lot of problems with it.
Okay.
But do I like some of the new things they tried out with it? No, actually not so much. I like what they did with Aquaman. That was pretty cool. I like the new Justice League. It was fun. There's some shining moments here. I didn't like the new Superman, again, because he was
I didn't either.
Yeah, it's kind of broy and everything like that. But there are elements and things that I did like that they tried to do.
Batman stories were great.
Yeah, the Batman. Well, the interesting thing about that is a little behind the scenes here. So, again, being in comics and everything like that, as you guys know, I write comics. I've heard from a couple people that what happened is that before they did the New 52, all the teams got together and met. So the Flash team, the Batman office team, it was like the writers and editors all talking there. They're like, so this thing is we do this, we have to remember the timeline is only 5 years. So we have to cut off some stuff. And so from Superman, Green Lantern, all these things, they cut things out. That's the reason some of our favorite things from the past like 15 years were gone. But for the Batman office, they were like, we can't cut out anything. Yeah. It's Batman. And this is all integral to this character. We can't cut out anything. And that's the reason why when
that's the introduction to the Court of Owls, right?
Exactly. So that's the reason why like when this new 52 Batman stuff happens, you're looking at like, hey, the timeline is making sense. How does he have three sidekicks in a span of 5 years? But that was one of the things they were like, look, we just have to like go with it because we don't want to cut out any of this rich history.
Wow. That's what you get right here on Superhero News Network. Some superhero news that you would never know anywhere else. I'm sure you would if you dug deep enough. But we give it to you anyway.
Bam! Right there. So yeah, that's my pull list for this week. Go check them out. They're both available in trades on Amazon, wherever comic books are sold, including here at the Comic Bug in Manhattan Beach, where we're shooting live. So here's the thing, if you ever want to check out comics here in the LA area, go to the Comic Bug in Manhattan Beach. It's an awesome shop with a great book selection.
One thing that I love that you mentioned that Justice League run too, because that those initial first like 7 issues or whatever it was, and especially because it started with, I remember the midnight release of the New 52 and it started with Justice League. And that was like the cornerstone book that would, be the be all end all of that DC universe. And when it starts, that book is very good.
No, it starts super strong. Look at those first, like you said, 7 issues. That first trade sets everything up where you go to it positively. Like that first trade set up the Justice League War movie, which is one of the better DC animated movies. They're super awesome.
I love it. So Andrew just got out of the theater. He said just saw Aquaman, loved it. The premiere was awesome. All right, so let's talk about it now. We're going to get into this. Now, this is going to be filled with spoilers galore. First thing we're going to talk about is going to be the reactions that him and I have. Then we're going to discuss the movie. Then we're going to ask you guys, the audience, the people, to chime in.
The people.
There you go. WCW.
The people, WDW.
We want you guys to chime in. We want to hear what you guys think about it, and then we're going to talk about theories and where we think the DCEU stands today. So let's start off with initial reactions. Johnny, you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay.
You have more positive things to say than me.
Initial reactions. Here's the thing. I was excited to see Aquaman because I honestly thought we would never get to a point where we're going to see Aquaman. Mind you, we're seeing an Aquaman feature film before a Flash feature film. That boggles my mind. That's number one. I think that that's kind of crazy. However, we do get Aquaman, and I was excited to see it. I wasn't let down by the visuals of the movie. I thought the storytelling was decent. I thought the movie was about 17 hours too long. And I thought that it's interesting because I walk out of that movie probably caring less about Aquaman and more about his mom and dad and way more about Black Manta. I think that there's a lot of things that they kind of like, it almost felt like they just said, hey, you know what? We want dinosaurs and a kaiju. That did really well for us. You know, Indiana Jones is a good movie. Let's get some of that in there as well. And it's kind of like they shook up a box and were like, Indiana Jones, Pacific Rim, Land Before Time. And they put it all together and they said, we got a movie here. But I think with what they were given, they did a decent job with. But some of the most shining part, the biggest shining parts of that movie were, I thought, William Dafoe's performance. Nicole Kidman's performance, and 100% Black Manta's character and his performance. I thought was probably the best parts of the movie. But overall, I think it's an average superhero movie, but one of DC's better movies. Is it the best, as we labeled in the title? No. Resounding answer for me is no. Wonder Woman holds that distinct record. And another problem I had with this movie was that Patrick Wilson is supposed to play Jason Momoa's younger brother. Except I think he's 10 years older than Jason Momoa.
Yeah, he's got a little brother and everything. Yeah, it's like, wait, really? You sure?
Another problem I had with this movie, and this is going to be really nitpicky, which I come to find out it wasn't that big of a deal to me, but there's a scene in this movie where it seems like Arthur Curry doesn't know who Mira is, but they clearly have met in Justice League. And that was a little bit of a problem. However, watching Justice League back, the scene does make sense because they actually... He just goes to meet her for the first time, tries to get what he needs, and takes off. So doesn't really learn anything about her. But she's still being like, you should help people. And he's like, yeah, fuck you. And he leaves.
Okay, yeah, I agree. Serious thing. I went in with the same expectations as Joe. Before this movie came out, a lot of our hashtag crew went to the advanced screening, and they came back saying, "Oh, it was good." I was like, "Yes, I'm excited for this." And here's the thing, though. We've always talked about this before on the show. As much as I'm a big,
it's good for a DC movie.
Yeah, true, yeah. So as much as I'm a big as a Marvel fan, I'm a huge DC fan. As you've heard before, I love Justice League. I love the '90s run of DC stuff. Some of my favorite heroes that inspired me, like the right comics, came from DC back during that time period. So going to this, I had high expectations, but honestly. Yeah, it was not good for me. So as Joe pointed out, there were a lot of those like same problems there where I was like, okay, you're reporting for Indiana Jones here, or there's a kaiju, there's this, and that. But it also just felt like a lot clunky to me as well. Like you talk about that mirror scene, there's no real introduction here. They kind of go with the assumption that you have seen Justice League. And so when Mirror shows up, it's just very like, huh? Like this is like real smooth transition here. Like it's like you've known it for a long time. So that was kind of jarring in itself. But there were things that I did like though. Again, Black Manta was super dope. Yeah, he was Black great. Manta has
who'd have thought that they would ever be able to make that suit look cool?
Oh yeah, they sold it so well and they built it like it gave a reason behind everything, which worked out so well. He's a total badass, and his origin was one of the best things to go into a little bit. Again, spoilers. So the whole thing about it is that Arthur Curry, beforehand, Black Manta and his father are like robbing the submarine. They're pretty much stealing everything like that. They're pirates. And so the thing about it is that like Aquaman comes in, he's supposed to save the crew and everything like that. The other pirates shoot down. Aquaman takes them all out, and this is the crazy thing. Aquaman's a hero. He literally like throws a ship around, like knocking all these guys out, doesn't kill anybody, right? And then all of a sudden,
saves people.
Exactly.
Pretty much lets them all go.
Yeah, exactly. So he gets everyone off and everything like that. But all of a sudden, when he gets in a fight with Black Manta and his father, he defeats Black Manta. His father tries to save his son. Throws like a spear at him, spears him to the wall or whatever. There's an explosion, and the dad gets pinned up to some stuff. So again, Aquaman, super strong. He just coming like, oh, I'm gonna lift this up and everything like that. But no, he goes out and leaves them. Now the crazy part is
the worst part about it is
wait, man, because I was going. So here's the thing: as he's doing this, I'm thinking like, oh, he leaves them. He's a jerk. But you know, it's not like Black Manta asked for help. No, wait. Then Black Manta literally asks for help. Black Manta's like, please help him. He'll die. Please don't leave him here. And Aquaman says, let the sea be your judge, or some corny line like that.
And he's like, you're on your own. You got yourself into this. Get yourself out of it.
Exactly. He's like, bloop, 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 and like goes out. And the thing about this is, I'm like seeing this, I'm like, are you serious? Like after this scene, I am literally more of a fan of Black Manta than I am of Aquaman.
I agree.
I'm like, Aquaman is a dick.
So it sucks because it's interesting because you don't think you're going to care about Black Manta in that small, short amount of time. But there's this great scene where his dad gives him this like sacred knife, right? And this knife is like, this has been passed down from generation to generation. Now it's your time. It's your chance to hold it.
Exactly.
And this is like this touching scene. But yes, they are criminals. But it's this touching scene. And then as soon as this happens,
wait. Before we move, can I give a little more elaboration right there?
Yeah.
Because that touching scene was so much more touching because of the backstory behind Black Manta. He goes back to his grandfather who was like in the like World War II and who was a hero and all these things. And he was so good at swimming and like doing all these like rescue missions. They called him like the Manta. But what happens though is that after the war's over, when he tries to go get work, he can't because he's black. And so racism forces him into piracy, and that's where like this lineage started and everything like that. So we look from that point, it's like, you guys even want to be criminals? Society kind of forced you into here. Oh my gosh, your backstory. Oh, I support you so much. Then that dick leaves her dad to die. Okay, fuck Aquaman.
and also like he straight begs him. He's like, please just help free my dad. And then Aquaman looks at him and is like, meh, you're on your own. And it's like, and he's like, and after his dad dies, like he's in anguish, and you think, I want to see this guy kill Aquaman now.
Okay, and you're like, this is a great vengeance story. You are totally entitled to this because Aquaman could have easily have saved your dad. It wasn't like one of those situations like, Aquaman, there's not enough time. Or it's one of those convoluted things where it's like, well, he really couldn't get to him. It was like, he could have literally just walked down there with super strength, moved the thing, and like, now get yourselves out. He literally left him to die.
I do like in the movie they address that later on when he's like, listen, Aquaman's like, listen, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I should have helped save him. Because you should have. Because the thing is, I think you would have turned that dude's life around being like, hey man, just stop stealing things, I think. And then, but no.
And then all of a sudden you have the greatest team under the sea. Aquaman and Black Manta fighting undersea crime together.
But you know what? Now that we're actually picking apart the story, there's a lot of things that make Aquaman not the hero of this story. Another one being the Ocean Master. Essentially, his whole thing is like, I want to be king. Yes, that's true. However, he's like, listen, the Earth people have been polluting the water forever. I kind of think that, it's done. Yeah. Like, we're going to take over. It's done. And it's kind of like, you're right. And even has like giant landfills of trash that come back up, right? And it's almost like, oh man, the movie in times makes me feel like, oh man, it's shitty. I live on Earth, and I don't throw things in the water, but I feel like an asshole.
No, right? I agree. But here's the thing that kind of dropped the ball for me. Like, here's the thing. I agree with you. Ocean Master, that whole thing is like, yeah, that does make sense. But this is where it kind of messed up at, because it kind of shows that the filmmakers, they could have tied this in more if they had learned more about it, because you know how there's a whole fucking trash island out in the sea right now? That could have been a total plot point where it's like, look at the trash island. It's really right there. It's an island made of trash.
They make Aquaman's you don't identify with him really.
No.
And I agree with you. You brought up a great point earlier on before we started digging into the story, that there was a lot of opportunity here to really embrace Polynesian culture.
Oh my gosh.
And I think that it misses the mark. Look, I know that a lot of people have been up in arms over this Aladdin casting, which I want to get your opinion on live on the air. By the way, we got a super chat.
Super chat. Thank you, Toku.
Is the Black Manta is this Black Manta or Cauldron Black Manta? What does that mean?
Cauldron Black Manta. I gotta look that one. We'll check it out. We'll get back to you on that one.
I think though that like for me, it's a missed opportunity when you have a star of Polynesian descent, and as much as people want to say about representation, there's not really Polynesian culture represented anywhere. And a lot of people say, oh, well, The Rock's a movie star. It's just The Rock and Jason Momoa. Yeah. Like, you know how many actors are in the world? Like,
yeah. And if you could tag me in real quick.
Tag.
So here's the thing. Going to this movie, like, I love diverse cast. Like, think about this was like, part of the reason why I love the Fast and Furious movies is they show if you bring a diverse cast of people together, guess what? It's going to be pretty awesome. And all of a sudden, people from around the world are going to see this. That's why Vin Diesel's so successful. You look at the Triple X movie he just put out, Xander Cage.
He's successful because he lives his life a quarter mile at a time.
There it is, boom. So, but the thing about this is, if you look at that Triple X movie, it's kind of a horrible film, but it did so well because he included this great diverse cast. When you look at Aquaman, on paper, it looks diverse, but in actual execution, it drops the ball. Because again, you got Jason Momoa there, but other than that, though, everyone else around him is not a person of color. Again, you had his mom. Yeah, who's
Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman. His dad is there, but his dad's only there for a minute. You got Randall Park, but again, Randall Park owns only a couple scenes.
2 scenes,
exactly.
yeah.
And so anybody else who's a minority,
Dolph Lundgren, he's white though.
Yeah, they're so anybody else who's there is again, it's just like again, they miss a chance to do some cool diverse casting. Because going back to your point, what y'all thought about earlier on, I was like, look, after the success of Moana, casting Jason Momoa in this role was like cool. You could build this bridge and this mythos between Polynesian culture and to like Atlantis. It was like, oh, maybe they split. Maybe these are people who chose to stay on land, the people went underwater, and now he's trying to bring that back together. It's like it could have been this awesome story, but they dropped the ball there. Which transfers to my next thing. Damn it, the mythos. Again, here's the thing though. If you're going to say Atlantis is real, and then also you say Atlantis has all these different kingdoms, cool. Why? Again, go into the mythos, go into how these places work and everything like that.
Johnny, we can't make the movie any longer. It's not even possible.
No, here's the thing. I agree with you. But that was one of the big things that saw me right there. Because, again, Peter Jackson does a great job of this, where he's like, it is long, but Peter Jackson's like, I'm going to tell you the mythos behind this thing, so that way you understand it. It makes you want to buy into it more. But the thing about this was that going to this, like, when I left the movie, I didn't really understand anything else about Atlantis culture, except for, like, they live under the sea. That's about it. But, again, that was another problem. This movie was long. Oh, my God, it was too long.
Oh, man. It was like watching all the Lord of the Ring movies at the same time.
I fell asleep twice.
I do want to talk about. So you brought up so many great points. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. And then go to Toku Kid's point. I called her on Black Manta. I think he's talking about Aqualad Black Manta.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's just regular OG Black Manta with the big helmet, everything like that, original story, origin, everything, all the good stuff.
I think if you like another movie that is kind of blended into this as well is Sword in the Stone. A lot of elements from Sword in the Stone about Aquaman. Spoiler alert! Trying to get this trident from the great king. I was going to say Trident. Isn't that the name of Ariel's dad?
King Trident? Yeah, exactly right.
It's the king of Poseidon. He's trying to get the trident that can unite the seven seas. And if he's worthy enough, especially being... And I think, one thing that I think is kind of like an undertone kind of cool thing, being a biracial kid myself, is that he's a dude that dwells in the land, but also has to kind of like embrace his sea culture as well, right? Mm-hmm. I kind of like this as kind of being a biracial story. I thought that was really cool. But just getting there took a lot. We do get another super chat.
Super chat.
Andrew Mertz.
Thank you, Andrew Metz.
Not to interrupt, but what do you think the after credit scene will lead to in a sequel? Andrew, you are the man, and we have a few theories, but we could say one of them right now. Where do you think it leads? Now let's talk about his character, what's his name? Randall Park's character in the comics. Johnny, break it down for me.
So Dceu is kind of like a frenemy of Aquaman and everything like that. Or maybe it's pronounced wrong.
Are we talking frenemy kind of like, are we talking like Miley Cyrus and Nicki Minaj? Are we talking like
Taylor Swift, like Katy Perry type deals? Those are like your friends sometimes, but sometimes your enemies. And so the whole thing about Dceu is he's this really cool like scientist who's all obsessed, a historian who's all obsessed with like Atlantean culture. And so his whole thing is trying to prove that Atlantis is real. In the comics, that Trench I recommended to you earlier, he shows up there, and his whole thing is like working with Arthur Curry to find out more about Atlantis. He actually explains things to Arthur Curry that he didn't know about it. And this whole thing is that he wants to go to Atlantis, but Arthur Curry's like, I can't take you; it'd be too dangerous. Like the surface world can like never know what this is. So that's where he become a friend of me because he gets jaded by this. He's like, dude, you're a dick. Like I'm always helping you. I'm always helping you, and you know what my dream is, but you'll never take me there.
Man, this is gonna fit right into this universe's Aquaman being like total asshole.
He low key though, because he is just a total asshle. And so
you're right, dude. It makes you kind of. I mean, the surrounding characters I'm cool with. Mm-hmm. But like Aquaman, it's like, you're a dick.
And then when they go in the actual comics, Dceu has a backstory with Black Manta and like Arthur Curry's dad, where it's all just like tied together and everything like that. So I think moving to the next movie, we already saw set up here, is that he's going to build a relationship with Black Manta to go to Atlantis, and he's going to become again this frenemy of Aquaman. Whereas like he'll kind of help him because again he's still a good guy, but he's one of those people driven by education and research. He wants to see Atlantis. He wants to see if all of his theories are actually true.
I want to dig a little bit deeper on because one of the stories that I actually found probably the most touching was Tom and Atlanta's story. Tom being Aquaman's dad.
Peace up, A-Town down, Atlanta.
I think that story was told really, really well.
No, so again, we're not just going to bash this thing, because here's the thing, there are some gleaming moments here, because again, if you look at the rating on Rotten Tomatoes right now, it's like at 68%.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there are some good things here. I mean, 68% is technically a D, but we'll talk about that later.
You're a teacher, you would know.
Yeah, it is.
It's almost a C.
Yeah.
If you're grading on a curve, right?
Yeah, it depends if you're on that curve or not. But you're right. So the thing was, that opening scene, that bit, like that first 10 minutes is really touching. You see this romance break down. You see them like come together. You see them fall in love. You see them like have a child. You see them develop over time. You're like, oh, this is like really cool. So again, so that was like one of the better done scenes. The very beginning of the movie does bring you in, make you invested in it.
Emotion. It brings the emotion of those characters. It hits all the points that it needs to hit, and it makes you care for Tom to see Atlanta again.
Yeah.
Like, I was rooting for Tom to being like, I want to see these two reunited.
Because it's like this dope scene. It's kind of like, it's weird because here's the thing. In movies, you do have cliches, but you have these cliches that kind of like work well. And the thing about it is his, like, the whole thing she says, I'll come back to you. I'll appear here at like the end of the pier in the morning. And then what does he do for like the next 20 years? Every morning he goes down to that pier looking for the woman that he lost.
And Jango Fett gets another role.
Boom.
Good on you, Django. Good on you.
But yeah, so it's really touching at the end of the movie where she shows up and you're like, oh, you knew this was going to happen, but at the same time, though, you were rooting for it to happen the whole time.
And I must give a lot of credit here to Nicole Kidman. She, man, really embraces the character. And not even like, because Nicole Kidman is a world-class actress.
Yeah.
She hasn't aged a day. Like,
It's
she looks
rare.
amazing. But I think that she embraces this role where, and it cast perfectly, by the way, because she oozes the sense of royalty and prestige when she's on screen, and you can see how much. And it's crazy seeing her in this role when she's just playing like just the mom to Arthur when he's a kid.
And low key, here's the thing. I gotta be real. I like Nicole Kidman's character better than Mira's. Here's my reason.
Yeah, I agree.
Here's my reason why. She was a total badass. She stood on her own. She was a leader. She was strong. She made these sacrifices. She was a strong, independent woman. Mira. Here's the thing, as much as I want to cheer for Mira, I really feel like, and this was kind of taken away from it, that she was kind of used there just for objectification. Like, again, she's just kind of like, oh, we're going to cast you because, like, you're really attractive. And that's the thing, though, and it was, like, kind of evident because it was kind of what we talked about the difference between Wonder Woman and Justice League. And Wonder Woman's a strong character, and guess what? There's no, like, boob or, like, ass shots. But then when soon as you go to Justice League, we saw, like, Wonder Woman's ass, like, 3 times. Like, Josh kept pausing it, and I was like, dude, this is weird.
Yeah, that was back when he lived in a house.
Exactly. Now he's homeless. But moving on. So with Mira here, it was like the same thing. It was like boob shot, ass shot. I was like, dude, okay, we get it. And so the thing about this was that I feel like Atlanta's character was taken more seriously. He was so much more well done. Costuming was done. Mira was just like, again, you felt like you were there just for objectification, which I feel bad about.
Well, I also think that DC, you could tell DC's in a flux, mainly because I think Marvel is the same kind of way. If you equate Thor to Aquaman, it's very similar. So when you first see Thor appear in his movie, you can see kind of like how Asgard is so grand, and then in Dark World it gets scaled down. But then when you go back to Ragnarok and it's grand again, and it's kind of like this sky palace. So I feel like in Justice League, you get a little taste of it, and they got this weird like air bubble where they can talk in, and then James Wan said, fuck that. I can just talk underwater.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. He's Aquaman. But I like the world they built as Atlantis. It just doesn't reflect the same world that's in Justice League.
Exactly. And before we get more into the...
We got another super chat, though.
Super chat,
Toku Kid says it looks really close to the animated flick.
Yeah, as they talking about
What animated flick?
the one was like the War of Atlantis, where Atlantis...
Oh, I didn't see that
like
one. I didn't see that one.
Yeah, War for the Throne, everything like that. It's got a lot of like fighting and like killing and stuff. It's pretty cool. It features like a lot of like Aqualad, Lemire, and all these characters.
Right on.
So it's really good. Highly recommend you guys check it out because the DC animated films are great. The goal of your point though, again, this kind of goes to what I was talking about, like building the mythos. Because and as the leftist, that was kind of my problem with this movie. It was like I thought about Thor. That
Hold
first.
on, let me interrupt you. Don Juan, I agree with you. The new Men in Black movie does look like a pile of dung. It looks like a straight up shit.
Okay, so here's
Thank you, Don Juan. It's on an article on that #show.com. That we also think that.
No, I agree with him because you're saying this is exactly what I was going to say. So as I was watching this movie and I was looking, I literally went home and like checked out the new MIB trailer and I was like, these movies, they're very similar and that they're popcorn flicks. They're just meant to like get somebody in there, entertain you for a few moments, and it's cool. That's why it's like a C-grade movie and everything like that. It's not meant to like elevate the brand. And that's the thing that like when I thought about Thor Ragnarok elevates the brand. It's like it takes what a superhero movie you expect and turns it on its head. It's pretty much like a buddy comedy mixed with these awesome elements of action and like this cool character arc that Thor is given and everything like that. And that's why Thor Ragnarok is listed in a lot of people's like top 5 superhero movies because it elevates the genre. Aquaman feels 10 to 15 years too late.
Yeah.
Because had this come out like 10 years ago, it would have been successful.
It also would have been directed by James Cameron all underwater. I mean,
it would have been dope.
It would have been.
But as I watched it, I was like, ooh, this is Sam Raimi's Aquaman.
Yeah.
That's what it
That's
really
a great
felt
point.
like.
I mean, there's an octopus literally drumming.
Oh, that was under the sea. Do, 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 do.
I mean, there's a lot. And even with Mira, they somehow make her feel like Ariel when she gets to like the surface where she's like talking to a little girl. I want to be where the people
People
are. Like I
are.
almost thought she was gonna break out in song when she was like messing around with those little like the water, the fountain and everything.
But see, that was another point where I kind of felt they dropped the ball. They were like cool character moment because here's the thing: you spent your entire life under the sea. Now you're out here in the world, and guess what? You really come accustomed to shoes, these clothes, all these things that quickly. It was like I felt like again, not to be like play on this pun, but it should have been a little more fish out of water story right there with Mirror. That would have been a great character development for her. But again,
No pun intended, right?
But boom, there it is. Yep. But instead, they use it as just the romantic scene. Where it's like, oh, this is where they fall in love, and they see a little kid, and they eat some food, and oh, they're in Italy. It's like this is where they kind of fall in love at.
Here's
it was
one
just
thing-
paint by the numbers.
One thing I am a little surprised by here is that you cast Jason Momoa. He's actually a pretty charming guy and very charismatic, but they lean less towards the jokes that they could have had, and you kind of miss that. Like
Yeah.
I almost feel like you have this guy that's in this role. Like this is what makes somebody like Chris Hemsworth or The Rock so great, or even John Cena, where they're big muscular dudes that are comedy. And in Aquaman, there's a lot of opportunities to do that, but they don't go in that direction. There are comedic scenes for sure, but they definitely don't play that. Do you think that's a mistake?
No, it is a huge mistake because you know what I compare this to? For like Channing Tatum. We know Channing Tatum is this big muscular dude, as you just pointed out, and he'd be a comedic freaking genius. 21 and 22 Jump Street are some of the best comedies of this decade. But the thing about this, though, is that I remember the movie he was in was Jupiter Rising, Jupiter Ascending. And the thing about this, though, in that movie, he's like, oh, you got Channing Tatum. This is going to be awesome. We're going to use Channing Tatum the way he's supposed to be used. Not a damn well they use it the way he's supposed to use. He has all these great comedy things he can do, but you didn't utilize them to his fullest potential. And I agree. Same thing with Jason Momoa. That's why he kind of falls flat right here. They kept giving him one-liners because it was like, they were like, you can't act, so we don't want you to expose you too much. But the thing about
Unless
it
you're
is,
speaking Dothraki,
there it is.
where I can't understand you.
But the thing about it is that Jason Momoa can't act. He knows his lane. He can pull things off. You just have to feed him the right lines. And so I agree with you. That was like, it was wasted potential right there with him.
So you know how most people say that because Tony Stark pre Robert Downey Jr. was a little different, obviously, and a lot of people with Tony Stark and Peter Quill in general, that's more Chris Pratt than Peter Quill, and that's more Robert Downey Jr. than Tony Stark. Is this more Jason Momoa than Arthur Curry?
Yeah.
To me, I agree with you.
No, yeah, it's all Jason Momoa. But the thing about it is that, here's the thing. It's all Jason Momoa. That's his whole terrible personality, the whole bros thing. Because Arthur Curry in the comics, there's two versions of Arthur Curry. Well, three versions, I would probably say. There's the OG version, which you saw in like Super Friends, like, I'm talking to the futures. Who's like the cheesy guy who gets beat up by Batman, literally. Then there's the 90s version, who's the badass running around with one hand, was like, I will fuck you up. It's like, he will, and he'll have a shark eat me. And then there's the third version, which you're getting now with the Jeff Johns version, who's a little bit of a mixture of the two. He's a little bit more badass, but he's still like a nice, like average guy. Jason Momoa introduces a fourth aspect to this. But let me ask you this question though. In the comics, because of the success of Robert Downey Jr., that trickled down directly into the comics.
Yeah.
Because anybody who's not a comics fan, I'll be honest with you, Tony Stark did not get this much exposure prior to this Iron Man movie.
He also wasn't like that comedic like how Robert Downey Jr.
Exactly. And so that really overall changed his character. Do you think Jason Momoa's character is going to change Aquaman in the comics?
100%. I think that everything the movies do kind of dictate what is reflected in the comics, and I don't think that's a bad idea because if you're a reader, I think it's a bad idea if you're a hardcore comic fan. You're like, oh, now I got to get stuck with this fucking guy.
Yeah.
But like, I almost think that there's a world where the both can live.
No, I agree with you. Because here's the thing, though. I think it depends. It depends how they're changing your character. Because here's the thing. Let's be honest. This is my opinion. Some hardcore Iron Man fans may agree with me, but the personality upgrade for Iron Man is an upgrade. Again, it's an improvement upon it. And the thing about this, though, like, let's be honest, though, like, how many people are hardcore buying Aquaman on a regular basis? So if this changes the character, at least for more book sales, more exposure, it's a good thing. But the thing about this, though, you don't see this happening when your character is fully fleshed out and strong enough. For example, Peter Parker. Peter Parker's personality in the movies and the comics is usually pretty reflective.
What about Peter Porker?
Pretty reflective as well. So the thing about this is that, like, when your character's personality is strong,
She's like,
you're gonna see that
what
play
are you
out.
talking about? Into
Spider-Ham.
the Spider-Verse. Spider-Ham.
Spider-Verse.
She's like, oh, okay.
Okay, there it is.
Hey, so you know what's interesting about this is I actually hated Tony Stark, and I always identified with Steve Rogers more. But it's so funny because everyone's like, oh, you'd be like Tony Stark. No, I wouldn't be like Tony Stark. I'd be more like Robert Downey Jr., but I don't know if I'd be more like Tony Stark.
Same. I always like Steve Rogers more because like Steve always had like the dope speeches in the comics because he was like the true hero in a way.
What? I wasn't paying attention at all.
Never mind. Some stuff happened behind the scenes. We have a live studio audience here tonight, so I was saying I always like Steve as well because Steve was like a true hero.
Hey Johnny,
and
since
he
you
was
didn't like the
pretty
movie,
badass.
this is from Edward Sanchez. He says, since you didn't like the movie, do you want a sequel? I do, and I want it to be called Black Mana. Honestly, if Black Mana just joins the Suicide Squad and becomes like the leader, I'm fucking in.
Oh, that'd be.
And
so...
it's written by James Gunn. I'm in.
Oh God, if he joined, I'd be on
That's
board.
the
I'd be there in a
best part,
minute. Okay, but you're saying, do I want a sequel? I'm gonna say yes, and here's the reason why. Because one, there's a lot of potential here. At the end of the day, again, I didn't like the movie, but is it a decent film? It's a great popcorn film that I would like recommend to like my casual friends to go see and everything like that. I would recommend like hardcore like comic book fans to go see. But again, it's a good movie where they can hopefully build upon and make it better. Because let's be honest, the first Thor film was just okay. The second Thor film, ooh, that got bad. But Thor Ragnarok, holy shit. So imagine if we had stopped at Thor 1 and never got there. So think about this, do I want to see them get better? Yeah, because here's the thing, Jason Momoa getting this exposure is pretty badass. So, go Aquaman. Get there. I want to see more.
We're going to go more into Aquaman, but I got to talk to Black Mana.
You called the Black Mana?
Yeah. I would have saved his dad, too.
Me too.
That dickhead Arthur Curry.
So DC is very unique for or for a lot of reasons, but very unique because their villains are just as iconic as their heroes.
Yeah.
So when you get to put on the Black Mana suit and you knew that you were going to become Black Mana, what is that feeling like?
It is a really special feeling. You know, you step into it and you feel indestructible, indestructible and powerful, and you can feel you feel like you can walk through a wall. And then you step on set and
Yo,
Hey, we're back. Whoa, that was back.
Good job, Joe. Good interview.
Oh, thanks, buddy. What I do like to talk about here, though, is diving more into the story. We're giving you a lot of negatives, but there's a lot of reasons to see this movie.
Exactly.
And I want to say, like, visually, stunning. But there's dinosaurs, threw me off. However, visually, stunning. I do want to talk to you, though, about when you saw Atlantis. Is this kind of what you wanted? You're an avid, obviously, you grew up with comics all your life. Mm-hmm. When you envisioned Atlantis in your head, did it meet expectations, beat expectations, or fell flat for you?
Okay, so here's the thing. James Wan is an amazing director. And we saw what he did with the Fast and Furious movies. He knows how to do great shots. Like, for example, there's some shots here where you can see, like, his total style, like, with Mirror and Arthur Curry, like, walking out of the oceans. I low-key could have put this to a dubstep soundtrack, and you could be like, now we're going to go steal some cars.
I didn't like the music, man. There's Pitbull.
Oh, yeah.
There's, like, Sugar Rios.
Yeah, the music was terrible. They had a terrible soundtrack. But to go back to your point, though, when I saw Atlantis, I'll be honest with you, here's the thing. I wanted to be amazed, but it kind of fell flat for me.
Really?
Because here's the thing, though, is like, as I said, explain some stuff. Explain how your world works and everything like that. Because they're like, oh, this is a bridge from the old world. I'm like, wait, what do you mean the old world? Because the whole time I was trying to figure out what their timeline was. For example, they said that Atlantis, there's a point where Atlantis, when it was undersea, spread out all the way to the Sahara Desert, right? That was when it was under the sea and everything like that. But at one point, at one point the sea recedes, and so there's a desert part of Atlantis that they never go to. They never go explore again. I was like, okay, so this must have been like back in the Mesozoic era, like way back, like millions and millions of years ago. But then they imply that Atlantis only sunk like a little bit like before, like maybe like a few thousand years ago. And so the whole time I'm watching, it's like, I don't understand the timelines of this. And then I was also asking a question about the energy source, because going back to your story elements, they say that Atlantis had like this magical energy source where it was like self-renewing. And then, but when their society crashed in the water, the energy source allowed them to evolve to be underwater. And I was like, okay, how? I just want to know a little bit more about that. Like, what is this energy source? Are you guys fighting over it? Is it still there? Like, what's going on with that? So, again, for me, it just left me with a lot of questions. But what about you?
Johnny, what are you talking about? I just asked you if you like the way Atlantis looked.
I'm sorry. I went on the
I'm
right.
just
Sorry.
kidding. I'm just
sorry.
kidding. I do think that I did like Atlantis personally, and I completely agree with you though that you wanted more backstory. The only thing is I didn't want any more story.
Because it's long. It's really long.
Pretty okay with what you gave me, and even then some. But I did like the look of it. Mainly, I was really impressed with the way they did the hair underwater. Like, I thought that was really kind of impressive because I know this for a fact. Is that I mean James Wan went on to say this. None of it was actually shot underwater.
No.
So I was really impressed with the effects of this movie. Like I think that whoever kind of did the job with the effects knocked it out of the park. One thing that I was extremely disappointed now, moving on from Atlantis, was they announced, and I'm a Power Ranger fan, Johnny's a Power Ranger fan, the announcement of Ludi Lin being in the movie, they made it a big deal, but he's in like 1 or 2 scenes. And it's like, and you make a great point, talking about representation, because they put so much makeup on him, you can't tell what nationality he is.
Not at all.
So I think that's kind of a fail.
It is. I remember going back to this. I will say though, again, while I was disappointed by Atlantis because. Again, I wanted to be like, I just want to know more. It's just who I am. I love storytelling. I love history of worlds. I love buying into that. But I will say that the thing about this was that whole how the hair worked underwater, how they talked underwater, how they swim underwater, that was badass. It made it work, and it was like, oh, okay, so this may allow them all to be superheroes underwater, which is like really cool. But going back to your point though, like, yeah, again, it was just, you kind of dropped the ball. It's like, if you're going to cast somebody who's diverse, let them be diverse so that way it kind of helps out your movie. But again, by covering up all that makeup, again, you couldn't tell.
I want to talk about the costumes, though, because I was extremely impressed by that. I don't think there's bad costumes in this movie. I think that, like, the Black Manta armor, the Atlantean soldiers, I thought it all made sense, and I thought that was brilliant. Even Ocean Master looked great. Like, Ocean Master walked off of the comic page to me.
Yeah.
And even seeing Arthur Curry in his gold top and his green pants riding a seahorse, are you kidding me? Like, that's iconic, and it looked amazing. Like, I think whoever did the costumes did an excellent job translating that to film. I thought it was brilliant.
I totally agree with you. They improved from what they did with Man of Steel, because my whole critique of Man of Steel is that it didn't feel like a Superman movie and it was like too dark and whatnot. But here they totally embraced it. They were like, we have to do pretty much what Marvel does. We have to embrace all these different things and figure out a way to bring it to life and to make people take it seriously. So Arthur Curry with the gold armor on and everything like that looked badass. But again, we keep praising, but Black Manta was legit. It had some of the best fight scenes in the movie. Again, Ocean Master, he stepped up big time when he puts that helmet on. He doesn't look cheesy at all. It's like, oh shit, that's a threat. And so again, it worked out really well. And again, when the Atlanteans came out the water, they're wearing like their suits so they can breathe on land and everything like that. They look like soldiers. They look like stormtroopers.
I actually want to ask you something about Black Manta specifically. Look at that. That's from Entourage. Look at that Aquaman suit. That looks like a 70s pimp version Aquaman. I do want to ask you about Black Manta in general. What differed between his comic iteration and his actual iteration that we saw in the movie? But before you answer that, we got another super chat.
Oh, nice.
Andrew Mertz, can you explain why the Atlanteans could breathe on land while others suffocated?
Oh, so the reason why they gave is that because again, all the Atlanteans are originally evolved from humans because again it's sunk into the sea, but only the royals or the people with like the high the high bloodlines or whatever, they have the ability to breathe on land and the sea. So people who are considered to be like commoners don't have that ability. So that was the explanation they gave. That's really why anyone with the royal bloodline could easily walk onto land and still be breathing, whereas people like just some common or whatever had to wear that special suit, and if they didn't, they would have to breathe maybe from a toilet.
Okay. Now, chat me up about the differences between the comic version of Black Manta and what we got in the movie.
I think the main difference is that DC, the movie, went more into like this backstory of like where he came from. It made you feel more empathy for the character. Whereas with the comics, you're just, it's Black Manta. He's kind of seen as a joke a lot of times because a lot of people are usually familiar with Black Manta from like Super Friends.
Kind of like Cheetah, right?
Exactly. So you don't take him as seriously. But here they're like, no, we're going to take this guy. We have to make the audience feel more empathy for him. Where they've done that in the comics before, but this was really, really well executed. That was one of the best things I've
I would
seen.
even say this is one of the parts where it's like, well, this might have been done better than what I'd imagine in the comics, right?
No, I agree.
Okay, so now...
But again, I will say this, though. This is all taken from that Jeff Johns run. Like, a lot of this is taken from that Jeff Johns run because he's the one who brought in, like, Black Manta's father and being a pirate and all these different things like that. But I think the movie condensed, like, what happened over several issues into literally, like, a 2-minute story and got us on board that fast.
One of your picks this week for Johnny's Pull List was The Trench. We get to see The Trench in the movie. Chat me up about what you thought when you saw them, because it looks pretty comic accurate, and it's like H.P. Lovecraft straight into a movie.
Okay, so the Trench in the film was really well done. They were like these like attacking monsters. They're like humanoid piranhas,
right?
And so you feel scared. Like this is an awesome fight scene and everything like that. And so they did it really well. Again, this as we talked before, the visuals, the CGI, the costume design, the monster design was really well done. It's almost to the point where it's like, damn, did Guillermo del Toro like show up for a day and just like help you guys out? Really well executed. Story problem though. So at the point where the Trench shows up, it just didn't make sense for me. Maybe you explain it to me. So there's that point where they're just sailing out at sea, and the Trench attacks them for no reason.
You mean with the boats out there by itself?
Yeah, it attacks them for no reason. I'm like, why is the Trench just attacking you?
So they weren't attacking. So what they were doing is they were trying to guide Aquaman to see his mom.
Oh, okay, that's the thing. They just don't understand it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not
I agree with you that could be harder to understand. Mainly because I wouldn't have gotten it either until I really, really thought about it. But they're not trying to attack him. Maybe trying to forcefully have him see his mom, because his mom rules over the Trench at this point.
Wait, huh? Does she?
No.
Okay, I was about to say, you almost sold me for that one a minute. I was like, Wait, but they were trying to kill
This
him.
is
Okay.
my fanfic, and I think it
Well
works
done.
better actually.
It
this
does
way.
work better. It does work better. Oh, that'd be like an awesome storyline. So when they show up, she's the one leading the trench.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, we get to Dinosaur Island where Arthur Curry is.
Okay, another thing that doesn't make any sense. So after the trench attacks them,
that was a Savage Land.
it pretty much is the Savage Land, and the thing about it is, so they go and they get forced into like this tunnel, or whatever. They come out on this beach and they're saved by someone dressed in trench armor, and boom, it's Arthur Curry's mom. She's been alive. Atlanta's been alive this whole time. But what's crazy is though she's living in a dinosaur land where there are pterodactyls, raptors, and all this other stuff, and there's these magic crystals around that somehow allow all this to exist.
And you would think we're making this up.
But we're really not. This is all in the movie. And then you would think, oh, they would explain this. No, they do not. No, they do not.
I will say that I was, spoiler alert, Julie Andrews plays the Kraken. So if you're a big fan of Mary Poppins, you can see her, just not in Mary Poppins. You can see her in Aquaman as the Kraken. But the Kraken is a kaiju straight out of Pacific Rim.
Oh, super so. Because usually with the Kraken, you're like, oh, big octopus tentacle monsters. No, it's got like lobster claws and all these different things and whatnot. So yeah, it's pretty much a giant kaiju that Aquaman gains control over.
I mean, I swear to you, when I was watching the movie and I saw the kaiju, I thought to myself, I fell asleep. I'm dreaming. I need to wake up. Like I honestly didn't think that was a part of the movie. It was.
It was. Let me ask you this though. Because seriously, with all these elements, because we've talked about, like you said, takes things from Indiana Jones, takes things from all these different films and whatnot. Did you find it predictable?
Of course. I think that with a story like this, you kind of have to, right? I think the only thing I found not as predictable is, honestly, Black Manta. I think that was the one character why I walked out of the movie and I was like, wow, not only is he DC's best villain, but he's also one of the best characters they have in this universe.
No, I agree. I would also say for me, Atlanta. Like Queen Atlanta was such a badass.
Yeah, I agree.
And again,
Queen as well.
before this, I did not care about this character. She was just always like in the background, like, oh, I'm Aquaman's mom. Now after this, I'm like, damn, I want to see more of you doing stuff.
That's right, Blackwing. Julie Andrews played the Kraken in this movie.
But yeah, like, because the thing about this is like part of the reason why Arthur Curry is seen as like the king is because he has the telepathy, which apparently no other Atlanteans have and everything like that.
And the comics, I'm reading a comic storyline right now called, I think it's called Under Siege. No, maybe not. It's right now. It's called Drowned actually in the comics.
Oh yeah, okay.
And they call it aqua. It's like aquakinesis.
Really, that's
Yeah.
what they called it.
That's what Mira calls it. Aquakinesis.
Kinesis.
Something
Okay,
like that.
that's random. I liked it in Justice League. Jay was like, oh, it's just another form of telepathy.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
But we've talked a lot about the movie. Rank it 1 to 5. What do you give it?
2.5.
Solid 2. You're right in the middle.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Do I like it? Not really. Does it advance as drama? No. But is it a great popcorn flick? Yeah, it kind of works out that way.
Oh yeah, remember there also is a whale that does swallow him.
Yeah. He talks to him and tells him everything. Yeah. Good job.
I agree with you. I'm on board. 2.5.
Yeah, because you know what I compare it to, honestly? Fast and Furious movies. You know how some people love Fast and Furious movies?
James Wan directed those, right?
Exactly, yeah. And when
Or
those
is that
come,
Justin Lin?
I think two.
Different guy.
Yeah. I think they might.
We don't know.
we gotta look that up later, yeah. But it's like, you know how some people like they love when Fast and Furious movies go out, they're like, oh, let's go see it. I know it's gonna be like a stupid popcorn film, but I'm just on board for this. I want to see the fun. I want to see a car like come from the moon. But then those people's like, no, I don't want to go see that. It's stupid. That's kind of how this is now. It's kind of like, I would highly recommend it if you're someone who just wants to go see a nice like popcorn friendly movie and you want to see DC, you do well. And here's the thing though, be honest with you, it's an improvement over what they've done in the past.
Now, one thing that we're here to do is talk about. We're here to talk about what's going to happen in the future in theories. So give me some of your Aquaman theories.
So one theory, we got a question about it earlier. I think Dceu and Black Manta are going to play a huge part in Aquaman 2. I think again,
Well, yeah, for sure.
exactly. Like they're setting that up strong, and I think honestly, because Dceu is going to be in play, I think this is we're going to get more of that like Aquaman, like Atlantean mythos and the history of it and everything like that. We're going to hopefully get a lot of answers. Hopefully, maybe to that energy source that gives him all these amazing abilities and all these things like that. We'll see Aquaman try to play the Black Panther role, try to bring like Atlantis to land, try to build that relationship. Now that people are going to start discovering maybe Atlantis is real. So I think we'll start to see some things like that. One thing,
Go ahead.
I'll say one thing that I want to see though is here's the thing: if you're starting to build your universe here, you may disagree with me on this, but I wouldn't mind seeing a character or two pop up from something else. Again, because if you're friends with these people now, it might be cool to see like if there's something huge happens. Again, another character pop up from something else, just for a quick cameo.
See, for me, and I agree with everything you said. One thing that I would like to see personally, Justice League 2. I want to see Justice League 2, and I want to see the actual appearance of Darkseid. I want to see Darkseid almost take over the Earth, and that including the seas, to the point where Aquaman has to get his brother, Orm, out of prison and be like, yo, we need your help. And he's like, it'd only be a matter of time until I knew you were asking for my help.
That'd be badass.
And then they have to team up and fight like somebody.
Parademons and everything, underwater and everything like that.
I think that would be cool because they don't kill Orm, which I'm a fan of. Like I like it. In Marvel, I think they have a problem with killing their villains off too quick. At least they didn't kill Black Manta. And they didn't kill Ocean Master, and I think that was great.
I agree with you. If we're talking about like plans for the entire DC universe, I would love to see the second Justice League movie. Because here's the thing: you still got those people signed. Just do it. But as Joe said, just literally do what's in the comics. Do the Justice League War storyline. It works out really well. We see it translated from comics to animation, and it will translate to film very well. And you have all the actors set up for it. And the cool thing about it is that after the Shazam movie, but you can introduce Green Lantern, Shazam, so you have some different options to introduce more characters.
Do you think that we'll get a Justice League movie before we get a Green Lantern movie? Green Lantern Corps is supposed to be the announcement. Justice League 2, I should say.
I'm interested to see. I don't know. That's a great question. I kind of feel like we might get the Justice League movie first, and the only reason why I say this is because I'm watching the CW shows, and we're watching the last storyline they did. They mentioned the Green Lanterns there, and I think they're introducing Green Lanterns on TV soon.
Interesting. All right, so out of the movies we have coming out next year, we have Captain Marvel, we have Avengers Endgame,
Shazam,
Spider-Man Far From Home, and I think that's it. But there might be a couple more. But Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah, 80s. Yep.
If you had to rank those 5 movies from most excited to least excited, how would you put that ranking?
Okay, let's go Avengers Endgame, of course.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Because this is a story that's been told over generations and everything like that. What was Shazam, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man? What was that fourth one?
Shazam, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man, and Captain Marvel.
So after that, I want to see Captain Marvel. I want to see how Marvel does space. I want to see how they do their first female hero. I want to see them be successful with this. My third thing.
I'm going to go in a different direction though.
Go ahead,
number 2, I'm going Shazam.
Okay, you're gonna hate my list now.
Why
do you want to see Shazam?
I think that Shazam can be DC's best movie, but also their answer to Spider-Man. But I also think that Zachary Levi has this childlike quality to him, and I think the movie's, at least the trailer, just looks fun.
Okay.
Just looks so fun. It looks like it could be big as a superhero movie.
No, I agree with you.
So I'm excited.
Okay, my number 3, Spider-Man Far From Home.
My number 3, Wonder Woman 84.
Okay, why?
Because I think Wonder Woman's movie in general was better than Spider-Man Far From Home. In general.
You mean Spider-Man Homecoming?
Spider-Man Homecoming. Mainly because I had seen so many Spider-Man movies at that point, and this was our first Wonder Woman movie, and it knocked it out of the park. So maybe with the hype of that Wonder Woman movie, I'm more excited. And I already am getting so many Marvel movies that I'm a little less excited. And I also, I'm just a little less excited, but whatever with it.
Here's the reason why. I totally agree with all your points, and Wonder Woman would make my list had I seen the trailer.
Okay.
Because the thing about it is that we've seen
footage. I agree with that. Yeah,
because we have seen footage, and we get these leaks of things that they're doing with Spider-Man by taking him to Europe, possibly introducing Mysterio and whatnot. So over there, it's like, oh, you're getting more deeper into the Spider-Man mythos. You're introducing new costumes. I'm like, all right, cool. I kind of want to see what you guys do with this character, especially after Endgame, where we know maybe Tony Stark might not be around anymore. So I'm interested to see what you do with this, especially after the success of Spider-Verse now too. So maybe this will push you guys even further to take this more Spider-Man-esque. So that's what makes me excited to see that one. But then that goes to my number 4, which is Wonder Woman. I like the first movie. I think it was very successful. I want to see DC keep going further. And the cool thing about this is that now that Zack Snyder has kind of stepped away from the DC universe, they can make it even more brighter, even more even more their own movie, separated from the DC darkness they were doing for a while. So I'm excited to see what they do with that.
My number 4, Spider-Man Far From Home. One word, Mysterio. I can't freaking wait. I can't wait to see Mysterio on the big screen. He's one of my favorite Spider-Man villains, and Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh,
I mean, does it get better than that?
Yeah. And then my number 5, I'm sorry, against Shazam.
All right.
The reason why is because, again, I'm on board for this, but as I was watching the trailer again, I just realized I low-key like the kid who Billy Batson more than Zachary Levi.
Fair enough.
And I know Zachary Levi is going to be a major part of this. And I'm like, the thing was that I've never, so don't hate me for this, but I was never really a Chuck fan. I never had a chance to watch it or fell into it. So because of that, I'm not a big Zachary Levi fanboy, which I know some people are. But the thing about it is, if I was more invested in him, I'd probably be more separate.
Chester would literally suck that dude's wiener. But my number 5, if I gotta go, obviously I'm Captain Marvel. Mainly because the trailers have underwhelmed me.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sorry for that.
I think the
But I-
trailers
but-
are a little underwhelming.
But I can understand where you're coming from with that. By the way, Edward Sanchez says, production says Wonder Woman's coming out in 2020.
Yeah, well, you don't know anything. I'm just kidding. Actually, Wonder Woman, that's not true. Wonder Woman's coming out in June of this year. They moved up they moved up the date.
Oh, nice. But you know what will throw off this list though for me? When's the Joker movie coming out?
Oh yeah, the Joker. Number one, actually, I want to see the Joker more than anything. Even more than Avengers. I want to see the Joker more than Avengers.
Actually, October, dope. It's my number 2. I want to see Avengers because I just want to see how all this ends. Because again, I just want to see how it all comes together.
forgot
I'm excited
about
for
that.
that. But Joker is my number 2 because again, I just have such good vibes for this film. It's a small budget
can't
thing.
freak- it
I love
reminds
the
me of that
actors and
Dark
everything.
Knight
Yeah,
style.
it's like it's going to be like really dark, and we don't know the rating they're going to go for it yet. So I'm excited for it.
And that costume that Joaquin Phoenix is in is like the superpowers action figure, like the Super Friends costume. And it's like, bro, like if you got Robert Downey Jr., Joaquin Phoenix, and Todd Phillips in a movie under $50 million budget, something has to be special.
Wait, you said Robert Downey Jr.?
Sorry, Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro. There you go. So, yeah.
And a $50 million budget, something special there.
I know. I agree with you. Now here's the thing. Call it out. Prediction. What rating? Because here's the thing. Deadpool's successful with R. 2 R movies.
Oh, it's gonna be an R.
You think it's gonna be R?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm
it's
hoping
gonna
he'll
be
be an R because it's like, dude, this is a Joker origin story. Just fucking run with it. Batman's not in there. Just fucking run with it.
Look, I don't think any actor, Jared Leto. I credit Jared Leto for one thing. Your Joker sucked, but your balls, you have the balls the size of grapefruits. Mainly because you are portraying a character that is always going to be known cinematically for great actors portraying that role, whether that be Jack Nicholson or Heath Ledger, and to stand
Or
up with
Mark Hamill.
or Mark Hamill. But Heath Ledger is going to be that role of the Joker is very hard to compete with, and it seems that like Joaquin Phoenix is like, hold my beer, and it's like, whoo, okay,
No,
I can't freaking
no,
wait.
I totally agree with you. Especially after you hear saying, you think what happened with Jared Leto and how Suicide Squad was like so panned by like the fans and whatnot. After like all the hype he did was like, I was milling people use condoms or all this other kind of weird stuff he was saying. But the fact that Joaquin Phoenix is like, no, I got this. But you realize, no, I got this. And so it's like he's put his big boy pants on. He's about to come show people how it's done.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see Joaquin Phoenix play the Joker. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. Maybe horrific at times, and it seems it's gonna be tragic. And even Zazie Beetz is gonna be in that.
Oh,
It's gonna be so good.
dude, it has the potential to rock. Like, I'm looking forward to it. So, overall, again, I'm looking forward to superhero movies coming up. I'm looking forward to DC doing better. And Aquaman, and here's the thing, though. As much as I'm critical of it, it's
But that's
because-
our jobs to be critical
yeah.
of it.
And the thing about this is that I hope they do better. I honestly do. And the thing about this, again, I still recommend people go and see it because I want this film to be successful because, again, I want Jason Momoa to get more steam behind him. And I want to see them
And I
do
don't
more
want to get
Aquaman
punched in the
movies.
face by it.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary.
But no, go see Aquaman. And you know what? Even though we have our own opinions, don't let us be the don't let us be the judge, jury, and executioner. Go see it for yourself, and then come back and comment on whether you agree or disagree.
And THS hashtaggers.
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing. We'll give it a couple days that everybody will see it, but like around Monday, we'll post a poster there and be like, what are your thoughts? And just come and let's get the conversation going. Because here's the thing. I know what I think about it. Joe's know what he thinks about it. We want to know what you think about it.
But we also want to do one final challenge that has been gaining a lot of steam on some of the Power Ranger shows. Is that we want to challenge all of you guys that are watching to send in an article that, and here's the topic: is who do you think Aquaman's 2 villain should be? Not who you think it's going to be, but who do you think it should be? Send that article in to do we have a new website? Do we have a new email for this? Or no, it's THS?
For which one?
The
articles?
article submissions?
No, you can do THS fan theories.
THS at that#show.com. Send them in there and send in the article of who you think Aquaman's villain should be in Aquaman 2, and we will publish it on our website. But that's going to do it for us, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. You guys are amazing. And if you haven't already seen Aquaman, go and do it. Go out to those theaters. Support these kind of movies because they need the love. DC needs the love. Warner Brothers needs the love. But guys, thank you so much for joining Johnny and I. And Jason Momoa says thank you too, or else he'll punch us in the face.
Yeah, it is.
That's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
do it for us, guys. Please hit that. Or Johnny, where can everyone find you on social
You
media?
can find me at JohnnyP303 on Instagram, Twitter, and on Gumroad. You can find my comics, Broken, Blackfist and Brown Hand, Elvis, and a bunch of other cool stuff.
You can find me at that #Joe on all social media. And you can find both of us right here on Saturday at the Henshin Hangout and the Ranger Wrap-Up live right here on YouTube. And if you want to get notifications when we go live, hit that little bell. It's there somewhere. But hit it. Ding, ding, subscribed. That's it, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button to stay up to date with everything trending.
And geek pop culture. We out.